ahead? Should we wait for Paul?
I mean, you can start if you want. But that's good.
Guys ready? I'll check out.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna grab my. I just finished up with him.
Evening, everyone. Welcome to City Council meeting, March 24th, 2026 for the City of Greenfield. Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor White,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Rodriguez,
Here.
Councilmember Ortiz, Councilmember Moreno Mares, Councilmember Garcia.
Here.
All right, excuse council member absences. This agenda item allows the city council to excuse the absence of city council members not present at the meeting. If all council members are present, this would be skipped. Any public comments on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to city council for comments or action. We did get an email saying Marcy wouldn't be here. And we have a motion to excuse. Need a second?
Second.
And moved in second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? All right, thank you. Invocation by Pastor Romero Lugo. Here tonight? I don't think he's here. Let's just do a moment of silence. All right, thank you very much. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right, agenda review.
No changes, Mr. Mayor.
No changes. All right. Item G, public comments from the audience regarding items not on the agenda. This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the council on any items not on closed session, consent calendar, public hearings, and city council business. Under state regulations, no action can be taken on non-agenda items, including issues raised under this agenda item. Members of the public should be aware of this when addressing the council regarding items not specifically referenced on this agenda. Do we have any general public comment tonight? Good evening.
Apparently.
My name is Patsy Duska. I'm the Western Manager for the American Red Cross covering the Central Coast, Monterey, and Canadian Standards. And I'm here today to share an event that we're partnering with our Greenfield Fire Department on. Is on April 25th across the United States. They're doing a signature event, which is our smoke horn program that we do. We do it monthly on the Central Coast, but this is a specific one for Greenfield. And we're going to be installing throughout the Greenfield community, starting with the mobile home park across from the fire department. So I have flyers here in English and Spanish. I'm hoping that your city can also post on your website and promote it so that we're going to your constituents. This is a free program and it's really life-saving. How many people's lives are saved from the free smoke detectors for 10 years when it's a red flag. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Civics Fellow serving MST for the year. And I've been doing community outreach and engagement to see how we can improve our service here in South County. I've been in Greenfield and I've been to all the other South County cities. It's based on the feedback that I got from the citizens here that we improved our maps. We got feedback that they were really hard to read. So we were able to improve them and increase the readability and legibility. So I am sharing this with you. And I was at the Greenfield Commons earlier today, tabling, and I was able to talk to the organizers there and the residents of that. There are a lot of residents that do not have access to cars in the town. And we are waiting for a bike lane striping issue to be resolved to activate a bus stop outside of that development. And I think once it's activated, it will be extremely beneficial to them. You guys have any outreach opportunities that you want to inform me of? I left my business card, so please reach out, and I am super happy to come table and provide resources to you. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. Perez, Parks and Rec Director here for the City of Greenfield. I wanted to take the time to invite our community members who are here today or to our 2026 Easter in the Park event, which we're going to host at Patriot Park this Friday, March 27th, from 3:30 to 6:30 p.m. Activities include Easter egg distribution for kids of all ages, science activities, arts and crafts, free popcorn, funny photo booth, music and dance performances from our and more outdoor time. We're going to be distributing 12,000 Easter eggs. Imagine the community center looks like a Easter egg wonderland. And we're just excited. We're hoping that a lot of community members can join us like every year. And if there's any community members that have any questions, they can contact me at 831-236-1230 and we can get them.
Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Victor Garcia. I'm an independent contractor for the Patriot Corporation events, and I'm in charge of the free market in town. I just wanted to express what we have at the free market in case you haven't noticed. We have collected on revenue about $11,000 within 1 month on city licenses that vendors have been paid. We have 100% compliance. The license reached $144. $100 goes to administrative fees. And we paid 3 times the amount other places pay in town. And vendors are not complaining. They just want to comply with whatever the order is. And I thought it was, I just wanted to share that with you. The free market is self-sustained. We started last year in June 1st. And up until now, we have been able to achieve the goal of having everybody comply with the license and seller permit. And so I'm very happy for that and for the people out there. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm Giovanni. I tried coming here to sell, and I was told that it was going to be $144 if I wanted to sell. I can't afford that right now, and when I sell, I'm an occasional seller, meaning that if I come during the summertime, I'd like to come at least maybe once or twice. That's all. Other flea markets, San Jose, King City, they allow us to sell twice without having to buy a permit. You know, it's already, it's not cheap to come and sell right here. And in San Jose, they charge a lot less, but I have to travel a lot farther with the price of gas. But sometimes I clean up estates. I clean up after estate sales and stuff, or I do a cleanup job for someone's backyard. They give me items like, bicycles, barbecue kits, any kind of job. So I did call the California Department of Tax and Fees Administration. They said that I can sell because I'm only an occasional seller, that I don't need a seller's permit. I'm not trying to be here every Sunday. Some, for people that did comply with your fees, I do understand, if they paid that much because it's business. But I am not a business, I'm just an occasional seller. In my hometown of Gonzales, they allow us to sell there 2 times with, like a yard sale, right? And that's basically what I wanted to come do here, because in Gonzales, being the small community that it is in my neighborhood, it's hard to sell. It's easy to sell here. And there's a lot of people that, basically like to sell their junk. And we'd like that right to come and sell at least once or twice, but right now I'm being denied that. Because he was told, the guy that, Frank Victor, he runs the flea market. And he was told that we're being forced to buy that, and we're not being allowed to come and, given an opportunity to come and sell once or twice. And this is the greatest thing that's happened in this South County, besides King City, but that's far from, that's a lot farther than Greenfield. Greenfield's just close to. And I'd like the opportunity to come and sell here without being denied. Without having to pay the fee too, because when I come and sell, I came here like once last year, and I think I sold like $60. So what little bit of money that I want, I don't want to be taxed, and I don't want to have to pay for a business license. So I'm not a business. I'm just an occasional seller, and that's what the California Department of Taxes and Fees Administration told me that they can also give me a temporary, license for that too. But they said it's not necessary. I'm not coming more than 2 times. So I can do that, come once or twice, but obviously I'm not going to come to this flea market because I was told that I cannot.
Okay.
Unless I pay the fee, King City will allow me. So,
Okay. Thank you very much for your
Yeah.
comments. Appreciate it.
okay.
Last week, I stopped a code enforcement officer on my street, and I complained that there was a beat-up boat and a trailer side by side in the front lawn, which they don't have it on, but it's front of the house, that got junk on the trailer and stuff. But I talked to the code enforcement officer, and I told her it's right down the street, because I had stopped right in front of my house. I said, 4 houses down. So I figured she would go by there and stop and say something. She said, so we should do something about these code enforcement because they're not doing their job. They're just not doing their job. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Any other public comments? I see no one online, correct? All right. Thank you very much. We'll move to comments from City Council.
I was trying to remember the name of the young man that's missing. Is it Alejandro Alvarez? I saw it on Facebook. He's been on there. I think he's been missing since February. Is that him? And I saw it again last night. I just wish I knew a little bit more what happened to him and where is he? And I think he's only like 16 years old. So if anyone has any information, maybe other people have seen it. I've seen it on Facebook. If anybody's seen a young man that looks like him, just call the police and see if it is him, if it isn't him. But I just wish we could find him. And it does say that he's missing from Greenfield, and they think he might still be here, but they're not sure. The other thing is I really want to appreciate all the work that's being done over on Elm Street and ECR with the project. What's it called? Waste project with the line, the pipelines.
Yes.
Yeah,
Lift station.
and then the battery or solar panel that was stolen. And I mean, it's taking a lot of people to, first of all, find the problem, get the solution, working on it. And I appreciate our officers who were able to investigate and find out what happened with that and get it back on. And I know it's a lot of work, and I know it's a big bother to a lot of people, but I appreciate the city of Greenfield is on it. And then my other last thing is I have so much popcorn flowing out of my house again, because good news, Little League Baseball is back. That's it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Just two different things. I'm looking forward to the Easter hunt, and I'd really like to volunteer, go out and help you out with whatever. Just let me know what you need. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. And also with the lift station, you know, I've been getting a lot of phone calls about it and text messages, and everybody's asking questions. I did talk to Paul a little bit about it. And we need to be better prepared. I'm not sure why we don't have the parts, but this needs to not happen again. Things are going to break. I understand that, but we need to be better prepared, because this is a big inconvenience for the businesses that are over there, for the school, for people coming into town. I mean, I'm annoyed every time I go get my awa, but I still go. But it's very hard. Parking over there is already difficult as it is. To add this to it is just not good. So we can make sure that, you know, we're doing work just to get prepared in case anything like this happens again. And that's pretty much it.
All right.
Good evening, everyone. I just have a couple things. One, I wanted to thank Public Works for keeping our restrooms over at Patriot Park refreshed and presentable, because I get calls every season about that, and no calls yet. So I know we just started, but thank you for keeping that area nice for all of our parents that are out there and kids that are playing. The other thing is just, I wish everybody a happy and safe Easter. We won't be meeting again before that. So that's all I have tonight.
All right. I have a few things. Also want to compliment Public Works on the Little League field. I've got a few calls from some of the people who are in charge of the league, and they're very pleased with our work on that and keeping that the maintenance out there. So spring is here. Happy to see the flowers and the blooms, but it also means there's lots of weeds and grass. So please take care of those. Fire department is always watching and wanting. They don't really want to send you letters, but that's getting to be that time of the year. So please take care of those things. As Jesus said, we've got the Easter event coming up on this week. We've got community walk every Friday at 9:30. Please attend that. There's a nice group there that meets every week. I understand there was a unification meeting last night. For those of you that are interested in the school district, Greenfield Union and South Monterey County High School District are looking at maybe unifying the schools here in Greenfield, so and King City. So if you're interested in that subject, please pay attention. There's a lot of stuff going on there. I know they've sent out some information. I think it's really important if we could get a better education for our kids and develop more civic pride. I think it would be a great thing. Right. Oh, I attended the 3CE meeting. I'm on that board of directors last week on March 18th. There's a new program starting May 1st called 3C Flex, where they will reduce your cost of electricity by 5 cents off each kilowatt hour. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to 3CE. I have a phone number, or you can reach out to me and I can give you the number. It's 877-455-2223. And the plan, be sure and tell them it's 3C Flex, because there's a lot of acronyms with that group. And so you want to make sure and get on the right plan, the one that's going to actually reduce your cost. So I think that's all I had. Thank you very much. Let's move to consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and may be approved by one action of City Council. unless a request for removal for discussion or explanation is received prior to the time council votes on the motion to adopt. Do we have any public comments on the consent calendar? Seeing none, I'll come back to council. Does anybody have any questions or needing to be pulled? If not, I'll entertain a motion. I have a motion to approve. I need a second.
Second.
Then moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Mayor's presentations, proclamations, communications, and resolutions. I have one proclamation tonight. I'm very pleased to present this one tonight. A proclamation of the mayor and the city council of the city of Greenfield proclaiming March as 2026 as American Red Cross Month. In March, we celebrate American Red Cross Month by honoring our neighbors who make its humanitarian mission possible in Greenfield. Every day, their acts of kindness change lives, bringing relief, comfort, and hope when help can't wait. Compassionate spirit runs deep in our community, just as it has for 145 years through the American Red Cross. The contributions of local Red Cross volunteers, 181 in the county, give hope to the most vulnerable in their darkest hours. Last year in Monterey County, volunteers helped 49 families affected by 30 home fires by addressing their urgent needs like food and lodging, as well as providing recovery support. In addition, they installed 682 smoke alarms, collected 2,141 blood donations, provided first aid and CPR training to 2,423 residents, and assisted 112 families of our armed forces. These collective efforts are a powerful reminder that the strength of our community lies in the shared commitment to one another. As we mark Red Cross Month, let's celebrate our local heroes and resolve to continue lifting each other up so no one faces an emergency alone. Now, therefore, I, Robert White, Mayor of Greenfield, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the laws of Greenfield and California, do hereby proclaim March 2026 as Red Cross Month. I encourage all citizens of Greenfield to reach out and support its humanitarian mission. Thank you very much.
Quickly, we're ready for the, yeah, thank you very much, Mayor and City Council members. It's an honor to represent the American Red Cross, as I've done for the last 36 years. I started out as a volunteer and I went basically 181 volunteers. I just cover 3 counties, Monterey, San Luis, same day, and also counties. As I feel that we're not present and not relevant to the community. So that's what we do. We're a volunteer force. We're a volunteer led organization. So every single volunteer is proud of it. We recently responded to the fire in Monterey County with 86 people. Support the residents there. So big or small, we're there. And, you know, please spread the word about this program. It really does save that. It is a free service that we're doing. Thank you.
We'll now move to J2, presentation regarding domestic violence.
Good evening, Mayor White and City Council members. Today I want to talk about take a few moments to talk about a very serious issue that affects individuals, families, and entire community, domestic violence. Domestic violence is one of the most serious and dangerous issues we face in public safety. It cannot be simple. It can be a simple dispute in a home. It can lead to violence, control, intimidation, and trauma that can have lifelong consequences for victims and their families. Domestic violence is an act of violence or threat act of violence by a current or past intimate partner. An intimate partner is a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, or spouse. Background: domestic violence is a critical issue affecting our community, demanding immediate attention and efforts. The forms of abuse is physical, you got emotional, you got sexual, and you got financial. Physical is obviously individual is trying to hurt somebody. Emotional is a person is constantly criticizing somebody. Sexual is obviously forcing sexual acts on a partner, husband, wife. Financial is a person is controlling or preventing access to a house or even your own money. It could also be forcing you to take out a loan that you don't want to. The impacts, obviously, the victims are impacted. It can affect them for the rest of their lives. Children, obviously affects our children. Seeing parents, couples fighting, they don't want to see that. Our community, we don't want to see that in the community. Social fabric. The stigma for surrounding the reporting of domestic violence and barriers for victims seeking help and protection. There's barriers. I mean, people are afraid to call the police. They don't want to call the police. They feel embarrassed, but they shouldn't feel embarrassed. The barriers, it can be a psychological manipulation, cultural norms, custody concerns, fear of retaliation, lack of trust in the criminal justice system. As a community, as a law enforcement, we should always help these people, educate them, let them know we're here for them. Unique to Greenfield is our population of Tricky and our Mixteco residents. Obviously, they don't like to call the police. They're in fear, they're intimidated by the police. Sometimes they don't feel that the police can help them. Like once again, I say, we should educate our community and make sure they know we're here to help them for victims. Our domestic violence calls. In 2022, we had 76. 2023, we had 83. In 2024, we had 102, which was high. Then last year was 2025, we had 88, which is good that we're going down. The calls in which weapons were involved. In 2022, we had 1 firearm. 2025, we had none. Knives or cutting instruments. 2022, we had 1. 2025, we had 0. Other dangerous weapons. 2022, 17. 23, we had 17. In 2024, we had 5. In 2025, we had 9. Personal weapons. 2022, we had 44. And then in 2023 was 51. And last year in 2025, we had 29. And then in strangulations, the last 3 years, we've had none, which is good. Obviously, that's great right there. Community engagement. The part, it's supporting encouragement and reporting. We want the people to report. People don't like to report. I keep on saying, we got to educate and teach people. There's people out there that can help. We can help. Encourage plans and follow-ups and check in with victim advocates, the local organizations like LULAC, would be great to get help from. Provide individual support and transition services. Train our officers. My officers get trained on domestic violence. We send our detectives to courses and stuff. When my officers respond to calls for domestic violence, we have a packet we give them, different things. They can tell them what they can do with from the DA's office, how they can get help. We have a packet from Greenfield Police Department, laying everything out, tells them who they can call, what they can do. We also have a domestic violence sheet with a bunch of different numbers that they can call for help, people they can seek help. Once again, I say people are embarrassed, but they shouldn't be embarrassed. There's numbers they can call for this. My officers are getting trained on this, and they are sending these packages out when they're out there. Support system, the YWCA is a great company, great asset out there. Community crisis line for Monterey County, it provides free and confidential emotional support for everything, and it's 24 hours a day. That's a great number to call. We also have now in South Monterey County for our residents, the Family Justice Center at the Keene City Court System. That's a great help right there. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Go right ahead.
Thank you, Captain, for bringing this, for circling back again. I'm always asking for this to be brought back. I don't know what the future is going to hold for me sitting up here, so I'm hoping that my fellow council members, if they're here, that they keep bringing this back at least twice a year. This is information that we need. The reason it's so important is like 24 people a minute who are victims of rape or domestic violence. Think about that. It's like, it's just, I mean, I don't even know, 12 million people a year are victims of domestic violence. I think for me to keep bringing this back, it's because, you know, we do have a big problem with our youth here in town, you know, and part of that problem is because a lot of them are witnessing domestic violence, sexual assaults at home. And it goes full circle because it goes to the kids. The kids start doing the same thing, you know, and so at some point, you know, we have to keep pushing this information out there, just like we do with gangs and drugs and everything else. This is actually probably even worse because of the fact that, you know, so many women lose their lives, and men and children. Some men, when they abuse, you know, and they're going to kill some, you know, their wife, they'll end up taking the whole family, you know, and it happens more often than than it should. We read about it all the time in the newspaper. We've lost a lot of women here in town, probably 3 or 4 to domestic violence, you know, and so it's a tragedy for the families because families have to keep on going on without them. So I just wanted to let the council know that I submitted my paperwork to go over to the National Crime Victims' Rights Week, and it'll be held at CTF Soledad. And it's on April 20th, 21st, and 23rd. I submitted my paperwork for clearance to go ahead and visit. I think it's going to be really good, you know, to go to learn because they will have actual, the inmates will be talking about their crimes that they committed. And then they'll also have victims, not their victims, but they will have victim impact stories that they'll be telling, you know, what happened to them and how they continue with their life after that. I was really curious, as you did say something about your officers or training. What kind of training do you, is that something that starts in the beginning, or do they do that throughout the year, or what?
Well, they get training. Our detectives get trained a lot for courses like that. We'll send them to the domestic violence courses, stuff. Our officers will get training while they're in the academy. And there's also for post mandate, we have to read stuff. They also have to do stuff like that with domestic violence once a year.
In light of I mean, I'm looking at the numbers and they have gone down, you know, I would hope that it was because people aren't getting abused, but it's probably just because nobody's reporting it, unfortunately.
I do believe that's a big problem. People are embarrassed. People don't want to report stuff. It's one thing we try to tell these people, individuals, to call for help, ask for help. It's okay to ask for help.
You know, I'm sure everybody has read the recent headlines regarding Dolores Huerta. And, you know, I was reading a lot of comments on social media and in the newspaper. And it's so disheartening to read the comments that they're saying about this 96-year-old woman. She's, you know, these women who go through this, I'm a survivor, so I'm speaking from experience, but it's their story to tell. They can tell it 20 years, 30 years. Some of them take it to the grave. You know, my mom passed away at 103 years old. Before she died, we were kind of going over things like, what happened here? Why did you do this? You know, just trying to get as much information as I can from her. And she told me something, and she said, you know, there's a lot of things that happened in my life that I'm never going to share, and they'll go to the grave with me. So this woman, she stood up at 96. I don't care about all the other stuff that's going on or what the accusations are, or anything like that. You know, it was a woman's story to tell when she wanted to tell it. And, you know, the way they're attacking her, this is exactly why people don't come forward. This is why they do not come forward. And it's sad. And so this is something that's very important to me. And so I'm going to keep pushing. And even if I'm not up here, I'll still keep pushing. So just to let you know. But thank you for bringing this back.
Oh, no problem. And it's a thing that we should do it on, like you
Yeah.
said, we should do it twice a year. And I don't have a problem doing it twice a
Yeah,
year.
thank you. Thank you. I think for many of us, you know, and talking to people in the community, meeting new friends, you know, everybody has a story. You know, some are worse than others, you know, and some, you know, some aren't. But I'm here today because of a simple phone call that I made. Otherwise, I would have been dead. That's tragic to me, you know, and so, but there's a lot of women that are suffering like that, and it's unfortunate, you know. So we have to do what we can for our community. Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Any other comments?
Great, thank you. This is a good first step towards this. And this message may or may not get out as far as we would like it to, but it is, you know, it's a ripple. We throw a rock in the stream and it makes a ripple, and then it's the responsibility of everyone else who's hearing this. What can we do? What can I do? And it may not be that I can protect my entire city, my block, but at least maybe in my home. And that's where it comes back to the individuals. There has to be trust for people to speak and say something. And it begins with maybe a simple hello. And so maybe we need to look at a way of uniting women to come. You know, I take that back. I apologize. Inviting people to come, because this is not a female problem. This is not a male problem. It's a people problem. But if we can start building trust, maybe having like a town hall meeting, something where people understand the city of Greenfield cares, and what can we do? And maybe the topic isn't domestic violence. Maybe the topic is simply, you know, I don't know, love a cop. I don't know. Something that helps people want to come, and then you meet again, and then eventually you bring up that topic, and including our churches, because you want to find the people. Sunday church is so packed that I'm standing outside. And maybe we can get our pastors and priests to take a step and make some sort of announcement, or even just a place to gather where we're willing to hear people. But I think it begins what you just did, and then it's our responsibility to provide a place for them to come. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Just one other thing, you touched on having a meeting. I have talked to Paul and Chief about doing a conference here in the city of Greenfield. It's something that I'm still gathering information, talking to different organizations. Hopefully, maybe by the end of summer, I have another person that's going to be helping me with it. And, you know, it's just something that we both really want to do. And that's the thing, we'd like to invite people from the school and from the hospitals, police department, you know, for wherever we can reach people to bring them. And it's just making somebody feel comfortable enough. I went to one conference in Salinas about 2 years ago. When we had victim impact, half of the room walked out. And they didn't walk out because they didn't like what was being said. They walked out because you start to see who's been affected by domestic violence, because they start getting up, the men and ladies start walking out of the room. And it was heartbreaking to see that. So, just, you know,
Sorry, I keep turning it off so my coughing isn't quite as loud. I just wanted to acknowledge that I know there's a statistic out there that domestic violence calls are some of the most dangerous calls for law enforcement to respond to. And I've seen your officers in action and have commended them on their handling of those situations, the professionalism that they display, and their training shows because the de-escalation tactics that they employ on those calls. I commend your officers, and just want to also just highlight that you know, this is, of course, this impacts our community, but also every call is a danger to our officers, and the work that you all do to keep us all safe is, you know, also acknowledged.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. I just want to say I'm happy to see the numbers are down, but any is too many. So anything you and Chief can come up with as far as programs or things that you think would help our community, please bring them forward to us and let us take a good look at them.
Yes, sir.
Let's keep this issue in the forefront.
Yes, sir.
All right.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Item J3, presentation by Capital Rivers Greenfield Partnership Review.
We're going to have Matt Tate from Capital Rivers, who is online, do the presentation that you all saw in your agenda packets.
Okay.
There's Matt. Thank you, Matt.
Hey, can everybody hear me? Paul, can you guys hear me? Okay, good.
Yes, we can.
All right. Well, good evening, council and mayor. Okay. Thank you for having me. I think there's a slight delay. I'm actually in a hotel room here as we just adjourned day one of the ICSC Monterey conference. And so I'm making a little bit, but want to open this up. I did watch the last council session, and I saw some of the conversation. Also have talked to Paul since then as well, and understand that council needs to be updated everywhere that we've touched and the city of Greenfield over the years. And so that's what today is. That's why I'm jumping on today. I do want to open this up to be interactive. We'll have questions as well. So what we put together is a level overview of the partnership. It's really hard to put specifics together on everywhere we've touched in the city, but I hope that this PowerPoint kind of brief overview gives you guys an understanding and allows for the questions that need to be asked. So I don't believe I have control of the PowerPoint, but can somebody move it to the next slide?
Yeah, we can take care of that for you.
Okay. So this was brought up on the last council meeting, but we have been in partnership for just over 3 years, $165,000 invested by the city, 15 plus retail brands actively pursued, three major trade shows, and we've been to major trade shows 3 different times now over the course of our partnership. We did a feature podcast with Paul as well, and that goes out to over 50,000 folks, diverse brokers, retailers that are in our newsletter and kind of our Rolodex. And then we also provided a 31-page downtown property analysis. This is just a high level at a glance, and again, not meant to be, picking at every little thing, but want to give a high level overview of the partnership at a glance. You can move to the next slide. While that's moving, the property analysis of the downtown was part of the interactive workshop held last year. A few of you on council were actually there live at the downtown session that we had, but essentially trying to re-engage the citizens, re-engage the city staff, and really lead through the pillars of a downtown and a functioning, high thriving downtown. And so that's good. 3 years, we've done a couple market trade area tours. ICSC Monterey debut for our partnership where we came out. We do put flyers for the city of Greenfield on the trade show booth from Team California, which we can talk at greater detail as well. I mentioned the podcast. Retail prospecting began 3 years ago. We all covered a Team California for the city. Team California is an EDC group, an economic development group that goes to dozens of trade shows each year, and they will represent cities for different things like retail, for industrial, the ag, all kinds of different shows. But everywhere they go, they represent the cities that are part of Team California, and through our partnership, the city of Greenfield is a member of Team California as well. Kind of moving on to some of the other stuff. 2024, ICSC Las Vegas and Monterey. Oh, there we go. That's fine. We can jump in here. So ICSC is the International Council of Shopping Centers. This is deal making takes place. Now, I stress this, and this is something we would have stressed to Paul during our partnership. ICSC is a deal making conference for cities. It is a way to get your city on the map. If you obviously having a show in Monterey, it's a great opportunity for the city of Greenfield to find out what's happening in the local market and really put their name out there. But we also go to shows like ICSC Las Vegas. There's an ICSC Western show, which bounces back and forth between San Diego and Springs and LA. And so we've been to all of those shows over the past 3 years. And so these are really shows where developers and property owners, retailers are meeting. And over the past couple of years, cities have started to more prevalently show up at these shows because deal makers are there. And so cities are trying to put their best sites in front of different retailers, developers, brokers. It's really creative. And so, again, that's something that we're at today, actually representing cities that we partner with as well. One of the reasons that we go in place of cities, for the most part, a lot of times cities are trying to represent themselves as a great place to live, as a quality of life play. That's often a misstep when they go to these trade shows. These are trade shows for deal makers that want to hear how a brand can find success in their market. So that's one of the biggest things that we do, is help cities talk more intelligently about opportunities from a retailer's point of view or from an investor's point of view. And so we've shared many conversations with, and some of them are a little bit more top secret than good to share at a council meeting because it can mess with deals. It can sidetrack an entire deal, but these are things that we would share with Paul and Paul when in our weekly phone calls and our monthly phone calls and touch base points and etc. If you guys want to move to the next slide. Just represents some of the active retail conversations that are going on. Again, is against my better judgment to share this at a council session. These are potentially active deals, active negotiation, active things that are happening right now. And for full transparency, we just want to show this so that you understand, like, we are in conversation with retailers. This doesn't mean that anybody's going to land here. It does mean that we are actively having conversations, and we are not broke deals for the city. We are finding retail brands that are interested in the city. When they are interested, we take them to the property owner of a location that best fits what they're looking for. Can't tell a retailer where to go, but you can introduce them to the property owners and let the property owners or their brokers present them in a deal. And so this is just a snapshot of some of the conversations we're having. I would encourage everybody watch to not take this to the cooler and tell everyone around town that these brands are coming, but that we are in fact working hard on the city's behalf to try increase your sales tax revenue and increase your quality of life for your residents as well. Next slide, please. One thing I want to say on the left, it's probably worth noting, but we have, in order for us to have retail conversations that go anywhere, we have to form relationships with your property owners. We've been on several calls with Bashadi family, with many families as well. The Francionis, I can't list them all here, but part of our job is to help your property owners understand they either have a good asset and they need help pricing it right, or understanding that, you know, retailers, if they can't get the deal that they're looking for, they'll go to the next city and make something happen. And so I just want, it's hard to really quantify the number of conversations we've had with your property owners where we are trying to soften the market, trying to bring them deals so that they can in turn transact if they see fit. It highlights some hurdles that we're working through as well, and those are things that are on Paul's desk, and you know, and I would assume will be brought to council as needed. But anyway, so that's just something on the tie to the retail. It's not just talking to that big brand or that broker. It's also talking to people in your market that are your property owners in order to help them understand what it takes to get done. We did the downtown property analysis as well. We've mentioned that PHP station engagement. This was where we engaged with California Highway Patrol regarding a potential new station in Greenfield, a significant anchor that would bring employment and economic activity. For what it's worth, this is completely out of our scope and not something that that we do on a daily basis. But in our partnership, Paul reached out to us and said, "Hey, this is a project we need help with," and we jumped right in for some inside developer standpoint and tried to help the city any way we could. We provided expert guidance on the CSCDA statewide community infrastructure program, the SCIP program, as a funding mechanism, delivered a sample resolution to help the city formalize its participation. We also initiated a property index to systematically catalog track development opportunities across Greenfield, creating an ongoing tool for the city's planning and attraction efforts. We could keep on going to the next slide. Again, I guess I can mention this here, but this is where we talk about community and business engagement. But just recently, over the past year, Paul and our team have been working to try and actively re-engage the chamber the chamber's working to establish itself as a value to the local businesses that are already in Greenfield and part of the chamber. We've provided data, provided information. I actually, Paul doesn't even know this, but I have a podcast queued up and ready to go with a gentleman who is he has spent his entire life working to engage chambers and make them not just survive but thrive. And that came because of conversations with Paul to say like, hey, what can we do to really boost the chamber, get them back on their feet to really help the downtown businesses, not the downtown businesses, all chamber business. I mentioned the podcast and social media outreach. You know, we post opportunities on our page as well, on best sites that you have or opportunities that you have. We talked about the Team California. We provided an advisory support related to this hotel, motel sector and transient occupancy tax, the hot tax and TOT tax programs, helping this leadership navigate challenges facing the hospitality industry. We can move on to the next slide here. Paul, if you want, I mean, again, happy to keep going through all this. Council, is this helpful for you guys to see? Do I need to pause here and take any questions? I'm happy to do that.
Sure, it's up to council. You have questions, and because he's got more to go through, but if you're curious.
I think we go ahead and continue the
Okay,
presentation.
do questions after?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do questions after, Matt.
All right, yeah, anyone. So I just want to make sure no one was falling asleep on me. So, okay, keep on going. So again, trade show representation, we've talked about that now at nauseum, but it is a big piece of what we do. And obviously the trade shows are 3 to 4 days. It's stuff, again, Paul wouldn't have to leave his office and take his focus off of some of the he's doing while we're out here representing, having conversations with some of these retailers, trying to advance the conversation. So that, I think that's what you have to measure is if you're not in a partnership with us, you know, who is talking to the retail world about the city of Greenfield. And maybe there is somebody who's doing, but I would to guess that it's not in the capacity that we're having. We have a retail brand pipeline that we mentioned, the market intelligence. So I've got another point that probably went out to you guys as well that shows what we call a market pulse report. It's a 4-page snapshot that looks at the types of business, the types of incentives that you offer. It looks at your market and provides demographic data, provides all kinds of different data to help tell the Greenfield story from a user's point of view. We've updated those a few times now. We have a couple iterations of them. They're all very strong. Let me see here. I don't know. I don't want to pat on the back for this, but for years I've been on a weekly phone call with Paul up until he passed, strategizing, talking about what he's working on, where we need to help, where we need to offer support. And that's been that call is on my calendar. I love seeing it. It's a good reminder to enjoy. As sad as that sounds, Paul was one of my favorite conversations every Tuesday. So I still haven't taken the calendar invite off of my calendar. I'm a creature of habit, and when something's been on your calendar for several years, it's hard to just take it off. So anyways, we consider ourselves a partner of the city of Greenfield. And I think, unfortunately, not everything made it back to council for you guys to see all that we're doing. I also believe that there's stuff that's private, best kept away from a city council session because they're active, ongoing discussions, negotiations, etc., that can jeopardize a potential deal coming together. Next slide, please. So what we had positioned for the city was a new partnership that started with we just put together. We spent the last about 3 to 4 months writing an interactive work, writing what we call our master class, and this is This is a workbook designed to bring cities and elected staff and city staff together in a 2 to 3 hour session where we walk you through how the retail world works, what doesn't work, what the city can control, what the city can influence, where the city has no control. And it's a really a great session we've done in a couple of cities now that's really gotten great reviews. Our plan was to do this in March or April of this year. Once council approved the new partnership, we were going to come out and find a do that worked to present our workshop, walk you guys through. This would serve for a couple of reasons. One, with Paul no longer being here and Paul Wood having to step up and kind of add focus or wear another hat, however you want to term what Paul's doing. Retail's either going to fall by the wayside or we can, step it up. And one of the things that we want to do is bring everyone together to help everyone understand how the retail world works, how attracting businesses work and what doesn't work. And again, what the city control and what they can't. And so that's how we were going to start the partnership this year. We do charge $7,500 for that workshop. We were throwing that in at no cost, just as a thank you for the long-term partnership. And so that was kind of the wheels were turning on that one already. And then beyond that, the scope to engage with kind of a new focus on retail recruitment, retail attraction. And that's what we were going to be spending the next 12 months doing, is really honing in best fit retailers that are not in the market. And we've got a new data strategy for that. Get the city's input on the types of brands you would like to, but also help you guys understand what is realistic to attract and what is more aspirational. And just keep our partnership going, continue represent at trade shows, continue being on, I think, Paul, we're down to bi-weekly phone calls, but those have been they've been great the last couple of weeks. We've been able to connect and talk about new strategy, talk about how we can amplify your economic development efforts, even with a lot, and help kind of diversify a plan going forward for the city. In the meantime, while you guys kind of make a plan for, how you replace certain positions, et cetera. Next slide. All right, thank you. So I'm going to pause here and open to any questions, any feedback, but I'll just stop talking here and we'll just get into any engagements you got.
All right, council, any questions, comments? I have a couple things. I noticed, you've got a lot of materials, the visitor analysis, the property analysis, and I understand some things are private that shouldn't be out to the public, but we would really like to see these documents kind of in our hands to some extent. We haven't seen a lot of this stuff, and I know you've been working with Paul a lot in the past, but I think we do need to also kind of be brought into the loop here. So I would love to get some of these documents.
100%.
So we can kind of see what you've done in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. And full transparency, you guys have all of them. I can do an effort here of putting them all on a zip drive or something and get them over to Paul to disperse to everyone. So it's I don't know. I truthfully don't know if they've ever been shared. The private information that you really don't want to share is the active negotiations, the active retailers we're pursuing, because it just doesn't help get deals done. But any of the demographics we provide, the visitor analysis that we provided, I was watching in council, one of the council members that was at our downtown engagement workshop. We provided all kinds of data then, but we also provided the raw data to the team as well. So I think it's more of it just hasn't been dispersed, but there's plenty of information that we provide and continue to provide that is not private in any way, shape. We want you guys to have it and have say in it and help us build it stronger.
Great. Anything else, council?
This is not an action item tonight.
It's not, it's just information. All right, well, thank you very much, Matt. Appreciate your presentation, and we'll take a good look at all this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Please let me know if there's any questions. Yep.
No additional questions at this time. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Let's move to K1, public hearings. Adoption of a resolution of the City Council, City of Greenfield, to approve the application for a grant taxi permit to Eduardo Bravo Gomez, a USA Taxi Cab to operate. Staff report, please.
Before we start,
Sure.
Mayor, can we get a translator for the person who is asking for it, so that way he understands the rest of the conversation that we're having? Or the headphones or something?
Is he here? She's here. Great.
Oh, yeah, but he needs to be able to hear it in Spanish, right? Oh,
Here she
okay.
comes.
Thank you.
What are your questions?
Do we want to do staff report first?
What's that?
Should we go over the staff report?
Hello?
first?
That's what I asked for. Staff report, please. Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry about that. We've got, Brent couldn't be here tonight, so I will go through the staff report that we went through 2 weeks ago. On April 16th, 2025, Eduardo Bravo Gomez of USA Taxi Cab submitted an application in order to operate a taxi within the Greenfield city limits. Muni Code Section 5.2 governs taxi cabs, including the requirement for a public hearing in order to obtain a permit to operate within the city limits. Per Section 5.20.050, the City Council must approve each company's permit to operate. The Chief of Police may grant additional taxi cab permits under that company. Previously, on March 10th, 2026, the City Council held a public hearing to consider the permit. The loan correspondence on the matter was submitted by Monterey Salinas Transit, which advocated that the operator be eligible to participate in MST's taxi voucher program funded through Measure Q. The City Council unanimously decided to continue the item to March 24th to allow the applicant to be present to respond to questions about coverage and taxi safety, and allow staff to determine coverage requirements and consider potential changes to modernize the city's taxi ordinance. The taxi voucher program is administered through MST to assist seniors, persons with disabilities, and veterans in accessing important locations within their community. There are 3 categories of vouchers, each with their own eligibility requirements: seniors, persons with disabilities, and veterans. For a $3 copay and a taxi voucher, riders can get taxi fare covered up to $17 per ride. MST highly encourages USA Taxi Cab to participate in the taxi voucher program to provide discounted transportation services to Greenfield residents. In order to qualify, the operator must maintain coverage acceptable to Monterey County Regional Taxi Authority, MCRTA. They require $1 million in coverage, while city ordinance only requires $500,000 of coverage. Should the city wish to increase coverage limits through its ordinance, it would need to direct staff to update the taxi ordinance, which would have to be approved by the City Council through the standard ordinance adoption process. In follow-up conversations with the applicant, he indicated he would be willing to obtain the additional coverage. He also indicated that he would be present to answer City Council's questions at the continued public hearing. Municipal Code Section
Excuse
5.20.030
me.
requires the following.
Excuse me, can I clarify?
Sure.
He was the one that authorized to have that coverage, or you guys have to authorize? I didn't quite get that.
No, nobody's authorized it. It was a question that came up at the original public hearing 2
When you-
weeks ago.
But you said $1 million and 500,000. Is that something he has to provide, or you?
Yes, Yes, he would have to
He would
provide
have
that
to.
coverage up to $1 million. Okay. There was certain information he needed to provide, which he has: name and address, description of the vehicle, scheduled rates, name and insignia, and hours of service. The applicant will be publishing and advertising the business to better inform residents of services along with cab advertising. Unlike in larger cities where taxi cabs are generally made available in certain public locations, this service is generally prearranged and no specific taxi stand location is being proposed within Greenfield. Outside of regular business hours, the cab is proposed to be stored outside of city limits at the location at 321 Lang Street within the city of Salinas.
What was that city?
Salinas. The taxi cab is subject to inspection at any time by the chief of police or authorized representative. Any taxi cab which is found after such inspection to be unsafe or in violation of any of the provisions of Chapter 5.20 shall be immediately ordered out of service and shall not again be placed in service until it has been put in safe and proper condition. The applicant is the driver / operator of the business. Section 5.20.180 requires that permits may not be issued to any person under the age of 21 years. Any person who has been convicted of a felony or of a crime involving moral turpitude. Any person who has been convicted of reckless driving or driving while under the influence of intoxicating liquors or narcotics. Provided, however, that the city council may, in its discretion, issue a permit in cases where such conviction occurred more than 3 years immediately preceding the filing of the application. Any person not possessing a valid driver's license issued by the state of California required to drive or operate any of the vehicles defined in section 5.20.010 of this chapter. This makes sense to me. All taxi cabs operated in the city shall be subject to the following regulations. Any driver employed to transport passengers to a definite point shall take the most direct route possible that will carry the passenger to his destination safely and expeditiously. No driver of any licensed taxi cab shall refuse any person prompt taxi service in the city at any time while such taxi cab is on the public streets of Greenfield, ready for service, unless such taxi cab is already engaged in the carrying of one or more passengers or is en route to answer a call for service. Provided further that nothing in this subsection shall require any owner or driver to furnish taxi cab services to any person under the influence of intoxicating liquor or narcotics, or any person who is insane or who is a criminal. Every driver, upon request, shall give a correct receipt for the amount of payment received. No driver of any taxi cab shall accept, take into his vehicle, or transport any larger number of passengers than the rated seated capacity of the vehicle. No driver shall carry any passenger other than paying passengers or persons authorized by or on company business. Every driver shall at all times display his driver's permit in a conspicuous place in the taxi cab which he is operating. Any violation of the provisions of this section shall be cause for the revocation of the permit of the driver guilty of such violation. Okay. Insurance is required and shall have minimum general liability limits of $500,000 for bodily injury per person and or occurrence, and $100,000 property damage per occurrence, or $500,000 combined single limit bodily injury / property damage. On all policies of insurance herein above referenced, the operator shall name the city, its officers, agents, representatives, and employees as additional primary insured. Okay, there is a long section related to, I think public hearing. Any interested person may file written objections or protests to the granting of such permit and license at any time before the hearing. The council shall consider all the objections or protests, and in conducting its hearing, shall have the right to call such witnesses as it may see fit. In such hearings, the burden of proof shall be upon the applicant to establish by clear and convincing evidence which shall satisfy the council.
I'm sorry, can you repeat or rephrase that?
Yeah. If there is a hearing, the burden of proof shall be upon the applicant to establish clear and convincing evidence to satisfy the council that public convenience and necessity require such operation of the vehicle for which said application has been made, and that such application in all respects should be granted. The City Council, in determining whether or not public convenience and necessity exists, shall take into consideration all facts which it may deem pertinent and proper. No such application shall be granted unless the council shall first make its specific findings that each of the following conditions exist. A, the applicant is financially responsible. B, the applicant is of good moral character, or the officers of said applicant are of good moral character. C, the persons holding permits or licenses for the operation of motor vehicles for hire are under efficient management, earning a fair and reasonable return on their capital devoted to such service. D, persons holding permits or licenses for the operation of vehicles for which application is being made are, under normal circumstances, adequately serving the public. E, the applicant has complied with the provisions of all ordinances and all state and federal ordinances and all state and federal laws applicable to the proposed operation. F, such additional service will not result in a greater hazard to the public and will not create traffic congestion in parking. And G, each vehicle described therein is adequate and safe for the purpose for which it is to be used and is equipped as herein required. The budget and financials impact. The applicant is responsible for all costs required for review and processing of the application, permits, and future renewals. The financial impact of approving a taxi permit is negligible. Staff's recommendation is that the city council approve the application for a taxi service / taxi driver permit for Eduardo Bravo Gomez, USA Taxi Cab, to operate a taxi cab. And that is the end of my staff report.
All
I'm
right.
sorry.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Sure. Questions?
I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing on this item. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this item? Seeing that, I'll close the public hearing, bring it back to city council for comments, review, and action. Questions?
I have
Comments?
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
How often will the PD inspect the vehicle?
I would assume at least annually, maybe more often at the beginning.
I could be wrong, but I think I remember we maybe asked something about that last time, and I think it was that they can inspect at any time.
Anytime.
That's true.
Yeah,
Correct. That was correct.
yeah.
My other question is, how will does he have a contact or anything with the MST to get started on this voucher program?
We can certainly contact him, put him in contact with MST and help him with what he needs.
Okay.
Sure.
And my last question is, how are we going to get this information out to the community that we have a taxi service?
We'll
So
yeah.
you drive back and forth? or-
I already have
What are we gonna
Kevin's
do?
contact for MST.
Excuse me?
Already have a contact for MST.
Oh,
Okay,
Great.
Awesome.
Terrific.
And then the question from council is related to how does the word get out that we have taxi service in Greenfield?
I'm gonna start to make a website for the area, in the area.
Okay. Great.
I'll pass out business cards.
Thank
Can
you.
the city post it on their social media?
We can if you like.
Okay. That was it. Those are my questions.
Yes, that too. I'm gonna build a platform.
Okay.
I think my questions were addressed in the report with the concern about the insurance, and just obviously then we made sure that it is up to date with like state regulations, since ours was established a long time ago and all of that.
We did find some areas that the city's code is not compliant with state law, because it was adopted so long ago, and actually taxi cab state law was updated in 2019. As with anything, if the city's code is not compliant with state law has precedent, so you would still have to comply with state law. So we could amend the ordinance to comply with state law if that's council's direction. But if you didn't, it would still, the
Take
city is still
precedence.
required to comply with state law. And the areas were more, they were not terribly concerning. They were things that really had more to do with modernization. So like the type of rate monitoring equipment that's required, things that have just updated over time.
But it didn't have anything to do with the minimum required as far as the insurance stuff that was an issue.
No, we found that that we did look at a couple other cities and some had the same as the city of Greenfield, 500,000, whereas others had 1 million. It doesn't seem out of line with what other jurisdictions do, but state law doesn't specifically require a certain level of insurance.
Okay. And then my other main concern last time I think that I raised was just to actually be able to ask the applicant if there was an intention to connect with that voucher program and follow through with meeting those insurance requirements so that we can have that voucher program.
Yes, that's the idea. And I've been a taxi driver for over 12 years and I have everything up to date and that meter and everything is modern.
I guess I would like to know how long he's been a taxi driver.
He said 12 years. I'm
12
sorry if you
years?
didn't hear me.
And where?
Okay.
Gracias.
I just have one question as an insurance agent. Is your coverage adequate? Is it the 500,000 or is it the $1 million that's required for the MST program?
It depends. Every city has different limits.
Okay.
What is it?
Yeah, but does he know what it is at this point? What your limit is?
500,000
Yeah,
South County.
Okay.
What he submitted to staff was 500,000.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And he does know that the MST program requires the million, correct? Okay. All right. Any other questions from council?
I just have the comment that I'm glad that we are increasing access to, to services like this for our residents, especially with the issue with, our circular still not making it to the main shopping center. But I do hope that we're able to work with Mr. Bravo Gomez to make sure that we can get that voucher program.
I am so sorry. He was talking to me at the same time.
You repeat what you said because she was
She
talking.
did-
to me.
He was talking to me at the same
Oh,
time, sorry.
That's okay. I was just saying that I am glad that we're increasing access to services for our residents to be able to get where they need to go, especially our shopping center. And I hope that we can make it happen to work with that MST voucher program to further increase access.
All right, I'll entertain
Thank
a
you.
motion.
And he was saying that he had it expired, the voucher, because he was in Washington for some personal, but he already has all the classes and everything in order, so he just needs to renew that.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
Move to approve.
There's a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations and welcome to Greenfield.
Gracias y
por estar
bienvenido.
aquí para nuestras preguntas.
All right. We'll move to K2, public hearing and presentation by Transportation Agency for Monterey County on unmet transit needs. Presentation, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Aaron Hernandez, Transportation Planner with the Transportation Agency for Monterey County. This evening, I'm going to provide you an overview of the unmet transit needs process and then request that we open the public hearing. Just for a brief overview, the unmet transit needs process is a process that's coordinated by the Transportation Agency for Monterey County, or TAMC for short. I did give a hearing in our past TAMC board meeting, which Mayor White was part of. So this is a bit of a repeat for him. But to just go over, the unmet transit needs process is required by the State Transportation Development Act under the Local Transportation Fund, which allocates 1/4 cent of the general sales tax that is collected statewide and comes back to the county on a population basis to support public transit services. Here in Monterey County, we have MST, which provides public transit services to all the cities in our county. Most of this money goes back to MST for transit services, and a small portion goes back to the Transportation Agency for transportation planning, as well as bicycle and pedestrian projects. As a requirement for using these funds, we have public hearings every year to identify any transit needs that are not currently being met. The first public hearing was held last month at the TAMC board meeting on February 26th. The second one will be held today. And we have a third hearing at MST's Mobility Advisory Committee meeting tomorrow at 2 p.m. This is the first time in the number of years that an unmet transit needs hearing is held at a physical location in South County. Hearings in South County annually occurred prior to COVID, but we are now bringing these hearings back to South County as more folks are attending in-person meetings like the city council meetings, and identified Greenfield as the appropriate city to hold the South County meetings, as given its central location to the South County area. The public comment period for the unmet transit needs process is open until April 16th, and comments can be submitted during today's hearing or can be submitted in writing via email, by phone, or through our agency's website at www.tamcmonterey.org. Once the public comment period closes, staff will gather a list of all the comments. TAMC staff will gather a list of all the comments received and determine whether MST can meet these needs through schedule adjustments, or if there are a longer term need that requires additional grant funding. Running a past year's unmet transit needs and their status for each is posted on the Transportation Agency's website. So that concludes my brief overview, and I'm happy to answer any questions from the council before the chair opens the.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the public hearing. I'll open the public hearing on this item. Is there anybody in chambers or anybody online that would like to comment on this item? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to council for comments and review. Do we have any questions or comments? All right. At this point, there is no action on this item, so thank you very much for attending tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. All right. At this point, I think I'm going to call a 10-minute recess. We're kind of halfway through the agenda here, and we've got quite a bit of material to go. We've been at it for about an hour and a half. So let's take about a 10-minute break.
Yeah, we need a vending machine in the chambers. Oh, that's a great idea. Is that allowed? I don't know what the laws are.
Meeting back to order. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming back. We'll move to L1 of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Greenfield terminating the original vehicle purchase award to One Nation Distribution LLC via Resolution 2026-02 and reassigning the award to the purchase of two new Ford Rangers, four-wheel drive crew cabs to Cypress Coast Ford Lincoln and approving of a supplemental appropriation for $2,145.90 from the water fund. Staff report.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. So the purchase of the two Ford Ranger crew cab trucks is within this fiscal year's Public Works Fleet Replacement Program budget. And the two trucks will replace an inoperable Water Division truck and a Public Works Administration two-wheel drive truck that's assigned to the Utility Division Manager. On November 17th, 2025, the City of Greenfield released a request for bid pursuant to the city's purchasing policy for these two vehicles. Bids were due December 19th, 2025 via Planet Bids, our newly implemented bidding platform. They actually received 6 bids, ranging from just under $72,000 all the way up to $101,000. So staff reviewed the bids for conformity with the bid requirements and determined that One Nation Distribution LLC was the lowest responsible bidder. On January 13th, 2026, City Council did adopt a resolution awarding the purchase of the vehicles to One Nation Distribution LLC in the amount of $71,978. Following the award, city staff made multiple attempts to contact One Nation Distribution to execute a purchase order and move forward with the procurement. Despite repeated outreach efforts, the vendor had been non-responsive and failed to proceed with fulfilling the order. Due to the vendor's lack of responsiveness and inability to proceed with the purchase in a timely manner, staff recommends that City Council terminate the award to One Nation Distribution LLC and proceed with awarding the purchase to the next lowest responsible bidder, which is Cypress Coast Ford Lincoln. The vehicles are funded through a CIP project that's currently got a balance of $75,000 for the two vehicles. The proposed award to Cypress Coast Ford Lincoln is $77,145.90, which exceeds the current budget by $2,145.90. Staff recommends that council approve a supplemental appropriation from the water fund to cover this deficiency.
All right, thank you very much. Any public comments on L1? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council. Questions, comments?
None for me.
So it's a total of 2 vehicles. The
Yes.
first group did not respond, and so we're
Yes,
looking for somebody else to fulfill the contract.
Yes, we were having difficulties getting them to deliver. And they then came back and said that they made an error and refused to abide by their bid. We pushed on it pretty hard. And in the end, it's a better determination that we're really in need of these vehicles. And so we decided that we should terminate that contract and move on with the next lowest bidder, who's Cypress Coast Ford Lincoln in Monterey County.
Yeah, it's been several months. I mean, that's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's been a challenge.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move there. Second.
Moved to second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. L2 of adoption of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Greenfield supplementally appropriating a $100,000 to Restricted Transportation Agency for Monterey County Revenue Fund and approving associated transfers of the fund. Staff report, please.
Good evening again. I have a few of these, so bear with me. In December of 2025, the city received notification that we received 2 $100,000 mid-cycle grant awards from TMC at their August 2025 board meeting. The funding includes $100,000 specifically for the Walnut Avenue pedestrian bikeway improvements, which construction commenced in fiscal year 24-25 and will be completed this fiscal year. And an additional $100,000 for the city-wide street rehabilitation projects that will be included in the fiscal year 26-27 budget. The amount requested for supplemental appropriation will be reimbursed to the city through a reimbursement process from TAMC. So the budget, we're looking at supplemental appropriation to the restricted TAMC revenue fund and allocated accounts in fiscal years as the journal entries on the staff report. So again, the amount will be reimbursed to the city through the reimbursement process. We're only asking for supplemental appropriation for one of the $100,000 grants. And it will be completed this year, and then we will be submitting for reimbursement. The other grant, we will be placing that in next fiscal year's budget.
Any public comments on L2? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council for comments, review, and action. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. All right. L3 of a resolution of the City Council of the City of Greenfield approving a contract change order number 3 for the Walnut Avenue pedestrian and bikeway improvements. Staff report, please.
Good evening again. So I do want to point out that this staff report actually has to do a little bit with the previous staff report of the $100,000 that was granted to us mid-cycle. So we just want to make sure to tie those together. On October 20th, 2024, City Council approved construction contract with Anderson Pacific for the Walnut Avenue pedestrian and bikeway improvements project. The project includes construction of missing sidewalk segments, bicycle route improvements along Walnut Avenue, and safety improvements at the US 101 on-ramp. The project will improve and has improved pedestrian safety and accessibility, closing existing sidewalk gaps along Walnut Avenue, enhancing bicycle connectivity along a key corridor within the city. During construction and field verification of existing conditions in May of 2025, modifications to the barrier rail at Walnut Avenue in US 101 on-ramp were determined to be required to accommodate a new sidewalk, the guardrail, because of the existing steep slope within the Caltrans right-of-way. These modifications are necessary to comply with Caltrans roadway safety standards for improvements within the state highway right-of-way. Such modifications are not uncommon for projects involving work within the state highway right-of-way and necessary to meet Caltrans safety requirements. So the required improvements are included in contract change order number 3, which is a total of $143,903. The recently awarded, previous staff report reference, $100,000 mid-cycle RSDP grant from TAMC significantly reduces the amount of funds required to complete the project. The remaining costs will be covered through the existing project funds and previously approved budget transfers. You can see that I've summarized the previously approved construction budget, and then I provided an updated construction budget. And if you look at the total amount at the bottom of those two budgets, you see that they're exactly $100,000 apart. So while the change order is $143,903, there's no added funds that are going to be needed except for this TAMC grant that we've received. So you can see a total of $100,000 in additional funding is needed to complete the project. And this funding gap is covered by the TAMC mid-cycle grant. And it's for this specific project. Council did approve funding and supplementally appropriated the restricted funds on this project in the previous motion. And with the utilization of this funding and construction contingency funds, that's where some of that's made up. We already have that in the budget. There is no net increase to the project cost. So I'd like to recommend that council adopt the proposed resolution approving the contract change order for the Walnut Avenue pedestrian and bikeway improvements. And I'll take any questions.
All right. I will open L3 up for public comment. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council for comments, review, and action. Do we have any questions from council?
Want it done.
I hate change orders.
So do I.
Wasn't this slope problem, so is that something that should have been anticipated when engineers went out and took a look at this originally when they were proposing the project?
So we knew the slope, we used the Caltrans standard for their guardrail system. When we went to have a pre-construction meeting, we were issued a permit. Let me back up, apologize. We were issued an encroachment permit from Caltrans with our original plans. When the contractor came to do a pre-construction meeting, install the guardrail system, and this was a subcontractor of Anderson Pacific, they said there was no way that, number one, this system would work on this steep a slope, and number two, Caltrans wouldn't allow it either because it doesn't meet their standard because of the slope. Part of the issue with the slope is it is quite an old interchange, but also we've had a lot of, I'll say, degradation due to the unhoused population. There's a lot of dig outs, a lot of trails, different things that also compromise that slope. So we did have to go back and forth with Caltrans for quite some time to find something that would work. And it was definitely a challenge. As you see, that was last May, and we're already halfway through March. And so there was quite a bit of groundwork between some Caltrans engineers and our city engineer and myself to figure out the right path forward.
So that was discovered when and how long ago? I mean, it was like, was it before the original bid went out? I mean, I know
No.
that this project has been in the works for years.
They
so-
were in construction and they were ready to have their subcontractor come out and install the guardrail, remove the guardrail and install the guardrail. And that's when it was brought to the attention of the prime contractor by the sub who, that's what they do, they install guardrail, that it would not work. This particular standard from Caltrans would not hold up on that slope.
Okay.
So that's when we brought Caltrans into the mix as well.
Okay. It's just anytime we could do some anticipation on some of these problems. I know this has come up before, and it's just real.
Yeah, and it's not something that we would have known. We used the current Caltrans standard.
Okay.
They reviewed the plans, everything, and issued us a permit. And it was the actual field conditions at the time of construction that changed it.
Okay. Well, this is something we've got to pass because that's a really dangerous spot there. So this has been in the works for a long
A
period of
while.
time. So.
And it is a change order, but with that $100,000 TAMC mid-cycle grant,
Kind of bails us out.
it's a kind of a zero net change order for us.
Okay. All right. Well, if there are no more questions, I'll entertain a motion on this item. I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Let's get that one done.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to get that done before the end of the fiscal year.
All right. L4, adoption of a resolution of the City Council, City of Greenfield accepting a grant for the fiscal year 2023 Reconnecting Communities Pilot RCP program from the United States Department of Transportation in the amount of $793,856 and supplementary appropriating $12,000 from SB1 funds for the grant recipient share and $48,000 from the general fund for the reimbursement for the fiscal year 2025, 2026. Staff report, please.
Good evening. This is my last staff report, I promise. I would like to make a correction up front so that if council does approve this resolution, it will be with a correction. So it does say to supplemental appropriate $48,000 from the general fund, and that should actually say from Fund 230, which is also SB1 funds. So we wouldn't be appropriating from the general fund.
Okay.
I appreciate your patience with that error. So background, the city applied for the Reconnecting Communities Grant, which we named the GREAT Grant, in September of 2023. The grant is a federally funded program intended to support infrastructure improvements and enhance mobility, safety, access, and community connectivity. The program provides reimbursement-based funding for eligible project costs. The city applied for the grant funding to support development of plans to construct a new bicycle and pedestrian overcrossing at Apple Avenue, widen the 2 existing overcrossings at Walnut Avenue and Oak Avenue, and explore feasibility of implementing roundabouts at the west and east ends of Walnut Avenue and Oak Avenue overcrossings. In doing so, the city of Greenfield will complete necessary planning work to address transportation system deficiencies and improve active transportation infrastructure. These improvements are necessary to facilitate efficient connectivity between West and East Greenfield, which are divided by US 101. The project is consistent with the city's capital improvement program, Complete Streets goals, and long-term transportation planning efforts. The city has been awarded $793,856 in federal funds under this program. Work included as a part of this grant will include transportation planning studies resulting in a project study report, feasibility study, preliminary engineering and design resulting in project study report attachments, and public engagement and outreach. The project must be completed prior to June 30th, 2028 in accordance with the executed grant funding agreement. So the budget and financial impact. So what they tell us is, oh, your total grant award is $992,320. So that's really an entire project. The reimbursable grant expense is the $793,856. And then we have city match funds that we're contributing, which are going to come from the SB1 funds, which is $198,464. So approval of this recommended action will accept that $793,856 in federal reimbursement funding. It will supplementally appropriate $12,000 for this fiscal year from available SB1 funds to the capital project. And then the next bullet has a correction to supplemental appropriate $48,000 from Fund 230, not the general fund, from 230, which is also SB1, which is for this fiscal year as well. So the supplemental appropriation would be for a total of $60,000 for this fiscal year. The remainder of the funding will be budgeted in next fiscal year's capital program. And I separated out the $12,000 and the $48,000, even though they're going to be coming from the same account, because I wanted to note that the $48,000 is the reimbursable amount, and that $12,000 is our match for that. And I have attached the grant award funding agreement as well. It's already been executed. And entertain any
All right.
questions anybody might have.
I'll open L4 up for public comment. Seeing none, I'll come back to council for comments, review, and action. Questions from council?
None for me.
So this is just a planning grant, correct? This is not for any kind of construction.
Correct.
Okay. And this is on Apple and on Walnut, correct?
So this is on Walnut and Oak.
And Oak.
And then Apple, it's a feasibility to see if we could put a pedestrian crossing across the highway.
Okay, and when it says the project must be completed by whatever the date was, 2028, does that mean the study needs to be completed by that date, not the actual construction of the project?
Correct. Yeah, this particular project, which is a planning project.
Right, any other questions or comments? I'll entertain a motion on that item.
Move to approve.
A motion to approve. I need a
Excuse
second.
me.
Been
It needs
moved
to
and
be approved
seconded.
with the correction
With correction.
for the supplemental appropriation for the fund.
Move to approve with correction. Correct.
Yes.
And a second.
Second.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, L5, adoption of a resolution of the City Council, City of Greenfield approving a debt management policy. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To my page here. Thank you. The California Government Code Section 8855, letter I, requires that local agencies adopt a debt management policy prior to the issuance of public debt. The purpose of this requirement, obviously, is to ensure that agencies establish clear guidelines for the prudent issuance and management of debt. This is made really, I mean, we should have a debt policy already, but we don't, like many of our other policies. But because we're going to the state revolving fund, this is one of their requirements that we establish one. So we picked one that is very prudent, and it's detailed in the staff report. The key things are that the policy authorizes a wide range of financing tools, including general obligation bonds, revenue bonds, tax and revenue anticipation notes, and a variety of other things. It also sets guidelines related to if we have existing debt and interest rates go down, it sets guidelines as to how much lower than existing before we actually try to go and refinance, which is always a good policy to follow. It requires and aligns integration with capital planning so that we don't extend ourselves too far on the debt side when we're doing capital projects. It includes strong internal controls to ensure compliance with SEC, the CDIAC, which is a California Investment Advisory Commission, federal tax regulations. It doesn't have any fiscal impact, but it should, if we follow it correctly, it'll reduce borrowing costs, improve access to capital markets, and just strengthen financial oversight and accountability. And that's it, my report.
All right, thank you very much. Public comments on L5. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to City Council for comments, review, and action. Any questions or comments?
I'm glad we caught that and that we will have it done.
Thank you.
The thing that's really pushing this, though, is our wastewater treatment plant.
Yes, it is. We're borrowing
project, right?
$36 million from the state. And I just want to make sure that we have policy in place. Good call. And so we're getting it done.
So in this policy, it says like now having this in place, debt must be approved by city council. So does that mean this is closing a loophole before we could, the city could approve debt without?
Yeah, I think debt would have been approved by city council. I don't know under what authority, if that's municipal code or government code, but I can't imagine any agency lending money to the city without city council approval.
Right.
That's interesting.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, that sets us up to be able to do our project. So, all right, I'll entertain a motion on this item, please.
I move to approve.
All right, I need a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed. Motion passes. Thank you. All right, we'll move to a discussion and overview of city-sponsored events and provide direction on priorities for future events. Staff report, please.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm Fabiola Lopez, the Community Engagement Manager. I have Jesus Perez here. And do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Yes, so this is Perez here again, Parks and Recreation Director. Here with Fabiola, we're going to be discussing city-sponsored events as well as a program, which I would consider the Market a Gazebo more of a city program. But we also have it listed here so that we can just have all the information on this document.
Yeah, we also have Victor, who has supported us on some city-sponsored events. In case anyone has any questions for all of us, we'd all like to be able to provide the information as needed. I'll get into the background. The city sponsors a variety of community events each year. These events range from small-scale community gatherings to large-scale annual festivals and celebrations. At the request of City Council, staff has prepared responses to some key questions to provide an overview of the event plans, funding, and goals. The approach with these goals is really intended to enhance the quality of our events while reducing the financial impact on the city's fiscal budget. Currently, event costs are included in the department's annual operating budget. So strategic use of vendor fees and sponsorships, we hope would offset expenses of these events, which would reduce reliance on taxpayer dollars. Under balancing priorities, I thought I'd start with flipping the order of first answering the listed inquiries from council before I go into the goals, if that's okay. That's on the second part of the page. So the list of city-sponsored events, those are on the spreadsheet that follows. I'll name a few. I'll list them just for those who don't have this page up on there in front of them. We have the Greenfield Harvest Festival, 4th of July, Christmas in the Park, the Easter event, the Food Truck Night, which was renamed from the Music in the Park that we started with, Halloween, 9/11, City Anniversary, and the Market at the Gazebo. We've also included the budget, the amount that's budgeted for each of these events from the most recent fiscal year to previous fiscal years. We also have another inquiry was the coordinators of each event. That's also here on the list at the farthest right. You'll notice that our two largest events, we coordinate and partner with Alegría Musical, as well as our newest Food Truck Night. We partner with Alegría Musical, which is Victor Garcia. The vendor fees are listed on the table below. And another thing that was requested, was inquired about, was the written contract if available, and that is also attached after this, a 2020, along with the 2023 staff report.
Can you speak a little bit louder,
Oh,
Fabiola? please?
yes. So the next, the final thing that I had mentioned was the request of a written contract, if that was available. And I did attach that written contract along with the 2023 staff report, and that's listed, that's attached. Do you guys have that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
The agreement?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, so before I get into our goals, does anybody have any questions about this list of events?
Let me go ahead and take public comments on this first before we do questions. Do we have any public comments on L6? Again, this is a discussion and overview. So. Seeing none, I'll come back to council. Do we have any questions?
I have cloud in my head. I'm trying to make facts clear. As far as the fees, vendor fees, are those consistent always, or do they change? Is there a reason why somebody might pay more or pay less?
So I'll speak to the Harvest Festival and the food truck fees. And then I'll see if Jesus and Victor have anything to share. Yeah, so those Harvest Festival fees, the first year that we worked with Victor was the only year that I started coordinating with the cost of the festival itself. The first year, I actually wasn't sure how much vendors used to be charged, but in 2023, I believe, we were hoping to have fees balance the cost of the event itself so that it won't have as much of an impact on the city's budget. So last year, the fee that we all agreed on in those Harvest Festival planning meetings was 500, and that was consistent with, for anyone who was interested, that was the food, for food vendors, and the non-food would be 150.
Yeah, and I can speak to the other programs that we have on here. Like the Market at the Gazebo has always been consistently the same price. We've always priced it that way. We started this market about 6 years ago now, and the price has been the same since. We've never really revisited that. So that's always been the $25 space fee. For Easter and Christmas, we've always kept it at the $54, which is the cost to obtain a special event permit, just for the one day. And for the 4th of July in the past, I would say the past 3 years, it's an event that kind of fell under my department's umbrella. I was never really in charge of that program. The summer has always been very busy for the rec department, and it still is, and it's been getting even busier. I guess so. That when I first did it, I'll just it was very, very quick. It came very quick. It was very small compared to what it's been the past 2 years that I've had Victor helping with that event, helping with the coordinating, the producing of the event, and everything else. I just charged the same as the other small holiday events. Even though this is an event that is much bigger, I would say it's probably the second biggest event that we host in the city. But yeah, I would say consistently the fees have been the same. But I would say Victor could answer any questions of why they might have changed. I know that sometimes vendors they sponsor meals for some of the volunteers, for some of the people that help in the events, from conversations that I've had with Victor. So that's what I know would change what the cost would be for 4th of July, for the food vendors or non-food vendors. But again, Victor's here and he could help answer more questions as to the consistencies or why something would change.
I have a follow-up on that.
Yeah.
I feel like it. White House, excuse me, President. I have a follow-up question. The fees, are they collected? How are they collected? How is it recorded? How is it proved that they paid? And who's doing all that?
Yeah, so at least for the Market at the Gazebo, the Easter event, Christmas at the Park, because those are, I would say, events where we don't hire a contractor, an event producer to do it. It all falls under city staff. So we take the payments, we recruit vendors, we charge those fees, and it all goes through the city hall front staff. So they would pay the fees with here. I communicate with the finance team and the front desk. I let them know who are the vendors that are participating. Okay. And then we make sure that they have all their permits, and then they would just pay the fee, the appropriate fee. That's how it would work. In the past 2 years for the 4th of July, since we've had Victor helping out and being a part of this event, and he's taking care of the producing and coordinating of the event. Those are fees that are paid. They still pay a special event permit, but they're also paying Alegría Musical, from what I know, right, Victor? Is that correct? It's a space fee that they pay, which it goes part into kind of, I would say, and I don't want to answer for you, but what I know is that other contractors, they use those payments as to pay for the expenses that they're incurring for like entertainment that they bring, stage, DJs, volunteer staff, or paid staff that they bring to the event. But again, I would pertain to Victor more especially for the last 2 years, because he's been the person in charge of charging those space fees. But when the other events, Easter, Christmas, market the gazebo, it all goes through the city staff. Mainly.
I have some questions. Questions. You took my question. I was asking who collected the fees. On this amount for the 4th of July, that includes the actual fireworks?
Oh, yeah, this includes what you see on the spreadsheet is gonna include not only the cost to bring in an event producer and coordinator, but the fireworks, which are probably the most expensive part of the numbers that you'll see on here. So fireworks have, I remember back in 2020, 2023, 2024, they went up to about 25K.
Mhm.
And then it just kept going up each year.
Yeah.
Because we summed it all up, but yeah, I would say it probably cost us like the same 20 to anywhere from 25 to 28,000 just for the fireworks. So
Personally, I'd like to see all fees come through the city. I'd like to see for every event to come through the city. That's just my personal opinion.
As far as collecting the fees and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, are you finished with questions? I'll go off.
I'm probably thinking something else. Go ahead.
Okay. I do have a few questions, and if Mr. Garcia can answer them, because I know since you guys weren't involved with those, maybe you don't have the answers. But I did ask for this to come forward. As you may know, Mr. Garcia, that some vendors came to us with concerns. And so the events that I think we're most interested in are the ones that aren't exclusively coordinated by the city, that your organization has a role in coordinating. Because I do agree, if it's something that the city is sponsoring or has its name on, we're a part of, then all of that should be coming through the city in some form, especially when money is exchanged. Because a lot of the concerns that were brought to us were about the fees. So I do want to go back and see about Councilmember Garcia's question, as far as if you could address if there are reasons that fees would be different for different people, other than that one is a food vendor versus a different type of vendor, because I know that that does cause a difference in what the fee is for them. But are there any other reasons that there would be different fees for different vendors?
Yes, actually, the fee is the same for everyone. If you're in a category of food, you have the same fee. Arts and crafts, retailer, or nonprofit. Nonprofit don't pay anything. We don't charge them. Arts and crafts, the only reason they will get a different or a discounted rate, it's like the food vendors, for instance. There's like food trucks that take up to 3 spaces, like a 10 by 30 space. So if I don't feel comfortable charging them $1,500, comparing it to a 10 by 10 canopy that I only pay $500 for that same event. So what I do is I offer them a tray for compensation, a tray for food, so they can feed the volunteers and in exchange of fees. So they get a discounted fee for that. Does this make sense? Do I explain it in a way
Food for like your volunteers and things like that?
Yes, yeah, and we get a lot of volunteers, people that work for me, work for the city, and we provide them with meals. And so some vendors take that opportunity, and that's how they get a discount. But otherwise it stays the same, 500.
How much of a discount? Because you're going from 1,500, they just pay 500?
Yeah,
You're giving them
so
$1,000 discount?
no, in this case, they pay half of it. So instead of paying 1,500, they pay 750. So that covers the 3 spaces that they need, and the rest of the amount, it's covered with meals that we need, because we gotta feed a lot of people. And the first year, I remember I didn't do that, and it was costing us a lot of money to just pay for the food, for the volunteers and people working, staff. And that's something we do, or I do everywhere I go. It's not just Greenfield, and I do it in Salinas, I do it in Watsonville, at the bigger festivals. Yeah, so it's the same, If I was not to do that, I mean, I don't think it is, I want vendors to make money the day of the event. If you come in already in $1,500 debt, it's how many places do you need to sell to start making money? So they argue, it's a way of working with food vendors that is something they see some other places as well, not just with me and not just in Greenfield.
So one of the, and I'll use the word allegation since, it's something that somebody said that we don't know is true or not, but I want to ask you, if one of the allegations is that once events started after they've paid their fees, then you have requested more money once they're there at the event. And so that allegation was made by several vendors that they've been asked for money once they're at the event and after they've paid all their fees.
I'd like to know if they have proof of that, and what was that I requested for, because if I ask for money after you already pay your space, it's gotta be for something.
So you have potentially asked for money after?
No, we never do that. No. We never do. That's not appropriate. It's not ethical of us to. You're there and we still go and charge you for a fee. Right. It won't be right. And if somebody has proof of that, they can come to me. But I never had anybody asking me, "Hey, why are you charging me more?" when I already paid and you're coming and charging people more. We don't have a reason to do that. And I always say, if somebody has a concern, they can come to me directly. I'm always in Greenfield. But I know that some people probably don't feel comfortable. It's fine. But the people that have, we have a really good relationship and they understand. And I do have vendors that are attending my festivals or the flea market, and they do mention, well, I heard you're expensive, but now I know why, because you promote, you do this and that. So I'm happy here, So you always gonna get
we
some.
listen to their, to their concerns and what they shared. So I want to make sure that I give you the opportunity and ask you directly, what the concerns were. So that was one, and then the other was that payments are requested in cash only or Zelle directly to you, but no receipts are ever given for payments.
No, that's not true. If someone is handing money to someone without asking for a receipt, it's irresponsible to do that. Why will anybody give money to someone? $300, $500, $150? No, that's.
So you provide all the vendors that have written receipt or some kind of a receipt.
Yes. That sounds like an accusation, and it's not fair because it's not fair when you don't have the other party present, and you can make things up. That's one of the things that I'm going through right now. That I hear a lot of things that are not true. And I think at one point, I feel it's affecting my integrity and reputation, because when people I start a conversation with someone already with that idea, it's not fair for me,
Yes.
and it's unfair that someone can say that against someone. It's defamation of this person, and that's also not right.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I wanted to phrase everything that I asked as this is questions that are arising out of allegations that were made, but I have to be fair to all these vendors because also you have to understand it's not one person coming to us, but it was over 20 vendors we heard from.
Yeah.
And so we would be completely remiss if we ignored that and didn't bring these issues up.
Well, that's the first time I have an opportunity to listen to those issues. I've been asking and offering, myself to, you have any concerns, come and talk to me. Let's clear things out. Let's work together. And I never got that accepted from anybody that I heard about these ideas, but I've been here over 3 years, and I'm gonna continue trying to do what's right here, because I don't have I have a legacy of working with the communities, not just Greenfield, and I have no issues with no one. I can walk anywhere I go, and doors are open for me. Nobody can say that I took anything away from anybody. And if they say that, what can I don't control other people's mouth or thinking or behavior or intentions. I can only allow myself to control myself and not get any bad feelings against people, because I don't know, anybody can do whatever they want, but it's risky once you start defaming people and trying to ruin someone's reputation. It's not fair. Probably it's not even legal, there's gotta be consequences about that. And if I know who is bringing these allegations, I will defend myself. I'll be going after those people, honestly, because it's not fair to damage someone's, like I said, and you probably agree with me on that, right?
Well, I wanted to make sure that you have the floor to be able to say, no, I give receipts. I charge the same thing to all vendors for the same event. You absolutely, that's why you have the platform right now to use your own voice to say those things, because those are questions we have. And
Right.
so this is us bringing our questions, because this is a city thing, and we can't have more than 2 of us meet with you to have these questions. And it's important that if any city funds or resources or the city name is going to any of these things, that this be a public discussion and we address it.
Okay.
And the fairness part of that is that we absolutely want to hear from you and have you answer those questions, because we understand, yes, like it could be a disgruntled person or whatever, but like I said, it's hard to ignore the volume of it. And so we had to make sure that we address these concerns.
I know about all this noise that is happening, because the same people inside, whoever's doing this, sometimes you guys have like private meetings to discuss things, and I know some of you have attended, and they inform me about what's happening in that meeting. They send me text messages, they screenshots about what it was discussed, and I was not present, but it's not fair, that I'm not present and it's being discussed things that are not true. And also you mentioned about more than 20 people. I can show you next time, if you want, how many people I can bring in here that support what we do and that are happy with what we're doing for them. There's so much behind it that you don't know about, because we're not out there bringing those things up to you. We're just doing our work and asking people to allow us to continue. There's a lot of challenges in this town, and I love challenges, and I like to create relationships with whatever I go, because that's the kind of business I'm in, and that's why I'm asking you. Don't you agree that it's not fair for someone to?
Well, no, not fully, because I'm available to meet with anybody that reaches out, and so in that, I was respecting their request to meet with me, and so I went and met with them, as I offered to meet with any resident that wants to talk about, any community member that has a concern they want to talk about. So I think it would be unfair if I then invited somebody else when I've been asked to meet with somebody. So I don't fully agree with what you said. But I'm available to meet with you as well if you'd like to. I did that per their request. And I think that it was fair of me to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I take listening to our community and being a voice for people that feel that they need an advocate or they have a concern. You know, I'm an ear to listen, and I will be a voice if I can to advocate for
Yeah.
something if there's a change needed.
Yeah, so next time I will highly recommend that you meet with me before you do this here in public, because you didn't do that with the other ones. You had a private meeting with them, and then you come here and ask me all these questions, which is fine. I'm totally fine with it. But I think in fairness, like you're saying, you should reach out to me. Hey, listen, Mr. Garcia, this is going on. You want to meet with me and express what you think about this? Instead of having me here, I thought I was gonna just support the team and answer your questions, but this is more like it looks like something different, you know. But I have no problem. I mean, I'm clean. I'm clean on anything that you have mentioned. And next time, I encourage you to listen to the other side as well. The same way you took your time to, I don't know how many times you guys have met, but I never met with you before.
Yeah, respectfully, the difference is though that they came to me as residents and they don't have a contract with the city, making it city business. And that's the difference, you know, for me personally. But I absolutely hear what you're saying and I respect your opinion. But for me personally, that's the difference there.
I'm just
And I would
asking
like
for
to,
fairness.
if I may interrupt here, sorry. But I attended that by invitation. It was my constituents who voted for me to be here, who asked me to attend, to be present. And that's what I was doing. And it was a listening. It was totally a listening, taking information, listening to what their concerns were. We weren't advocating, we weren't doing anything. I was just there to hear because they invited me. It wasn't my meeting.
Yeah, like once again, people that were present, they're not happy also with this. And they send me messages, they tell me what happened in that meeting. And I don't respond. This is the first chance I have because you're bringing it up right now. But I mean, what you do, it's totally up to you, and I respect it. It's your job. You're a public servant, you know. And I'm only suggesting, you know, as well as you, I have to respond. And like I said, once again, I'm clean, you know.
Can I jump in? Sure. Okay, I told you I had more.
Yeah, sure.
I'm all for the Harvest Festival. I enjoy going, and I think that we really do need that here in our city. But I keep going back to the same thing. I want to see changes. I think that we can do better. I don't foresee this issue with the vendors resolving. I just don't see it because we still get complaints. And I understand there's two sides to every story. I'm okay with that. But I think the best way to eliminate that problem is collecting the fees here in the city. And then we have control over that. We know where the money's coming in, who's being charged, and all that other good stuff. Also, I wanted to find, I would like to see our residents here in Greenfield. If they're from Greenfield, I'd like to see them to be able to get some sort of discount on that booth rental or whatever the fee is, however you guys call it. I think it's important that we support our entrepreneurs and our other people here in town that are making money. And I'd like to see them be able to get, you know, some fee structure changed a little bit for people who do live here in Greenfield. And my last thing is that for Victor, would be, what are you giving back to the city of Greenfield? I know that you did scholarships, but my understanding is that money came from actually somebody that donated money and that was distributed out to, some of it was distributed to scholarships. But what are you personally giving back to the city of Greenfield?
Well, I give back to the city of Greenfield opportunities to grow within the entertainment for families, for community, because all of the events that I bring are community related events, and there are free admission for everyone, and it's an opportunity for vendors to have another day of more exposure for more people coming into a festival. The other thing I want to mention is that the reason I'm involved in this is because we want to make it better. And I think if we go back in the years after when I took a partnership with the city, I think we have improved a lot of areas. And also, you gotta keep in mind that that kind of a festival is not for every vendor. You know, there's categories for vendors. There's the pop-up vendor, the farmers market vendor, the flea market vendor, and the festival vendor. Festivals are always gonna be more expensive, you know, anywhere you go. Unless you wanna keep the same, you wanna find the same vendors everywhere in town, then you don't really need someone like me. You can just continue with what you were doing in the past and make maybe people happy, you know. But honestly, if you go to a festival and I find the same vendors I have at the flea market or at the Saturday market, why will I run into the same, there's no reason for me to go to a bigger festival, you know, and if I find the same entertainment, small entertainment at the festival, I don't want to get out of my house and see the same taco vendor or churro vendor, or, you know, you want to see a more prime vendor, more different kinds of food. And I think that's what we've been changing, you know.
Well, I'm looking here at the staff report and under goals, if you look at the bullet point, it says prioritize local vendors. How are we doing that?
We always offer, the local vendors opportunity to come in first. I contact all of them, but we go back to the same issue. Why would you want to pay me or pay for a festival $500, like a Harvest Festival, when you are accustomed to pay $25 at a farmer's market? So then it becomes too expensive, you know. And so they decline. They don't want to accept. The food truck event, I went around and offered it to a lot of food trucks in town. They all declined. So we had to go and find somebody else outside. And then they start, you know, it went really well, and now, you know, it's all booked, you know. So we do offer them first right of refusal.
Mm-hmm.
On like flea market, I did the same thing. I went to the locals first, and they declined. So I have a lot of, like, probably half of the vendors are from Greenfield.
Okay. Do you have questions?
No.
No.
Can I, if I may add to the benefits that he has supported us with, I didn't get into those goals because I wanted to get into the answering the inquiries. But as you'll notice, the actual budget on this table, he's actually helping us to reduce the cost of the event itself, which reduces the impact on the taxpayer dollars. So he uses the spot, he actually taught us how to, and gave us an outline for how to go and look for those sponsorships so that it can supplement these, the cost. So just an example, for this current fiscal year, for the Harvest Festival, there was $38,000 budgeted, and it's been decreasing throughout the years. The reason last fiscal year's was 61,000, although that wasn't all used, is because that was a 2-day festival. So really less than 30,000 per day. This fiscal year, we didn't use $8,500, which in previous fiscal years before that, the entire budget of these events has been used. And our goal is really to, one more thing before I get into the goal. The event itself, he does provide us, when I do ask him for those itemized costs. For example, if we provide $38,000, that's about half of the actual cost of the event. So that's where those vendor fees help to balance things out. If we continue to increase the budget that we sponsor, then really in the point of view of these goals, in having a positive community impact and balancing it with funding and cost management, one of the things that we look at is who's paying for it. Is it the tax dollars, or is it along with the sponsorships of the businesses, or is it balanced with the food vendor fees? So, and the vendor fees. So that's really something that we try to look into as well. So all of those things are things that Victor has helped us to see so that we can have, because this is just what we sponsor from the city in our budget. That's not including the hours of staff time from all of our departments. So it's a significant cost, and he's been helping us balance those things according to his experience.
I appreciate staying under budget. That's amazing, but there's just a lot of other things that go along with this that we need to look at. I'm, for one, am not ready to move forward with it right now.
This
I
is
think
just,
that's the
this is
city.
just a
Yeah.
provide direction at this point.
And I'll remind the city council, and Fabiola can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's an existing contract with Mr. Garcia. And so any of these, potential direction items that you've been discussing would likely require a contract amendment. That's not on the agenda.
Okay.
And also it would require analyzing the contract to determine how and if it can be amended. Yeah.
Okay.
Like this one says it's, because we have one that was dated August 2023, but it does say that it would be continued through mutual agreement, which, can you remind me, has that come to council every year for approval, or it's just continued by agreement with like the city manager and Mr. Garcia? Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't seen it each year.
So, so this one, the current contract that is in place, unless we wanted to make changes to the existing, it would be renegotiable in August 2025, right?
I have to look at it, August of 20.
Because it's, 26.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah. I would have to, I didn't read it for the meeting, but, I can look and see if that's the truth. But again, it's not on the agenda tonight. So
Right,
And
no,
this
I
is-
just
and
wanted
this
to
is not an
clarify
action
also
item
because when I
anyway.
saw the old date, I figured it's because it's just been renewed and we haven't had like a whole new one.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sum
yes.
up, I think I'm hearing we would like to look into the discount for the local vendors and also better documentation on all the fees
And
better
and
record
who
keeping.
receives the money?
Right.
Where do
Who-
they make the payment?
Right. Better documentation, period.
Have we seen anything yet?
No.
What we receive is itemized invoices before we provide reimbursement. So we do have all of that. And so if you guys need any information of, for example, this previous fiscal year's event, we can get those numbers to show the cost and the balance of those, the effectiveness of the use of vendor fees and sponsorships.
All right.
So staff requests that city council provide feedback on priorities for future events, and thank you.
Thank you very
Sorry,
much.
Doug.
Just to close out, I do want to say that last part, the requesting feedback, for me, it was just good hearing all of the council members' feedback, because we really are just trying to find direction with all of these events. I could say from my department's point of view, we do a lot, and it is good to have nonprofits or different agencies that want to step in and help out. And we do partner with a lot of them for these smaller city events that the department oversees. So it is just good, because then we know once the contract gets amended for any future work, we just know what expectations council has. So just thank you for the time.
And if it's okay, I'd like to tag on to what is being said. So these amounts are excuse me, hard dollar amounts that we contribute by either by MOU or contract. But what's not listed is the amount of staff time, the overtime that goes in from Public Works, from Fire Department, from Police Department. It's not in these numbers. That's additional things. It's one of the reasons that we've all, well, since before Victor came along, is these events are not necessarily a prime responsibility of a municipality. These are things that we do. Why? Well, because we want things to do here. But these are normally carried out by nonprofits that are interested in the community. And we're trying to, like, you see how much money we spend, and you see that we're trying to get it lower. But if we could find nonprofits that were willing to take the same risks that we take every single year for all of these events, we'd love for them to take it off of our list, and our contribution might be the overtime to do the security, to do the streets, to do all that. So we're actively looking, continue to actively look. Victor certainly partially helps with that. So, I mean, I think especially with this budget coming up, we all saw the mid-year review. It wasn't spectacular. Things are not necessarily getting better revenue-wise. Expenses are doing okay. But we've got 5 negotiating teams coming in, and 3 of them didn't get a whole lot last year. So we've got some work to do, and it's probably going to cost us more money this year, at least since there's 5 of them. And so, I don't know. To me, it's like, maybe we move these down the line. Maybe these events are part of us balancing the budget by offloading them to someone else, maybe not having them. At least we need to think about it.
Okay.
I do have one more thing, and not really related specifically to these events or what we've discussed so far, but I wanted to talk about city-sponsored events in general, to kind of clarify any confusion about the events. And Jennifer, I'm not sure, like, I'm gonna look to you for guidance on this, because I did mention it to Paul, but I don't know if it was cleared as like something that we could discuss about the passing of the flag, raising the pride flag. But when it came time to have that event, I had, and it maybe is just because of what I've seen in other cities, but I had a very different understanding of what that was going to mean the city's role was. I was notified here, actually during the meeting, we were told that we would have to, or an organization would have to provide a flag, and I was clear on that. But then after, it was like we couldn't use any city resource, which was even like a table to put outside, chairs, a podium, microphone, the flag clips, even, somebody had to provide everything, every single thing had to be provided. And I take responsibility for having a misunderstanding of what that meant if we pass it as a city that we wanted to do that. I thought those basic resources would be available to us. So I wanted clarity, and also for everyone to understand what that means, because if we have something come up and we are thinking, this was a city thing and we're going to do it as a city ceremony, like pretty much all the other cities do, If we're not going to do that, I think we need to know that in
Needs to be
advance.
clear.
It needs to be clear. And what does make us passing this as a city different from other cities having these ceremonies? And it is something that the city takes part in, takes an active part in the ceremonies. So is that something that we can discuss under this item?
I think just to the extent that we differentiate a city-sponsored event from a private event on city property. And I think, I mean, in the case of the flag, it may have just been a misunderstanding between what council wanted and what staff understood, because generally, if an organization wants to raise a flag, they do that all themselves. And so I think in that case, it was likely just treated in the same way as any other flag raising, whether it's veterans, whatever it may be. So I guess the distinction is just whether or not it's a city-sponsored event or not. And
Yeah, I think, at least for me, I thought us passing it was like, we are saying this is a city-sponsored event, not like as a private resident now, we have to make things happen.
And I think because city council has to approve all flags raised, it was just treated in the same way.
Just the
for
flag
all
raising.
tracks. Yeah, and I think it was probably a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
I mean.
I think we can figure it out.
So how can we correct that, I guess, then for this year? Are we calling it a city-sponsored event then now, or?
Well, I think, so I think we need to clarify. I think the raising of the flag is an act of this body. This is the council, not the city, the council deciding that it wants to raise the flag. It's not a city sponsorship. It is the council saying, we're gonna fly this flag. I don't know that it has anything to do with the city per se.
Maybe the distinction is that city-sponsored events are in the budget. I mean, I don't know if that.
Well, that's what I'd like an answer to, like, because I don't know either. So I'm trying to gain clarity on that. So how, is that something that?
Ultimately, it's a policy decision and you all are the policy makers. And so this is where, I mean, I think some direction as to either whether it's an ordinance, resolution, agenda item for discussion, something that can come back to you for a full discussion as to how to distinguish city from non-city and how to just basically ironing out those
Some
details.
clarification.
Yeah, and again, you would set the policy and then staff would,
Would draw it up and then we would approve
finesse
it.
the details.
Yeah, may I request that we do that, that we have that, and then because it'll be here before we know it. If we could do that for the next meeting, to have that as an actual
Yeah,
item,
that's
if
fine.
there's a consensus.
Yeah, maybe
Let's
we'll
do
just
that.
leave it rather broad so you can provide more direction.
Yeah, because I
not-
also, I
not
don't
just
want
for
it
this
to
event,
be,
For other events also.
yeah, specific to this flag raising, but just how we decide that something is now a city-sponsored event, where we could use those, just some basic resources and for the event itself. Like, yes, thank you.
You got it.
And that's all that I have.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Lots of information, lots to think about. So, let's move to brief reports on conferences, seminars, and meetings attended by mayor and city council. League of California Cities.
I will be attending that this week, which is why I have not responded to any emails about Easter, because I will not be in town, unfortunately, for the city's festivities.
Okay, very good. Transportation Agency for Monterey County, we're meeting tomorrow. On the agenda is the approval of the executive director's contract. Also approval of $3,600,000 for fair share, which has to do with regional surface transportation program. Our portion of that is $118,000 over the next 3 years. And then we're gonna get a report, a status report on Highway 68. There's a lot of controversies. I don't know how much you're paying attention on this stuff, but there's a lot of controversy between roundabouts versus smart lights. And so we're gonna get a report on that tomorrow. All right, Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments.
I had a family thing, and I called mayor and told him that I wasn't gonna be able to go.
Yeah, okay.
It was late notice, and I didn't get to him in time to step in.
All right. Let's see, Salinas Valley Solid Waste Authority.
Yeah, we just met last week, and the most important thing is Greenfield, well, Tri-Cities, is 100% meeting all our mandates. We're all good.
That's a
Well,
good thing.
because there are some cities that aren't, but we are.
All right. Monterey Salinas Transit.
We have not met again from, the last time I reported out was the day right after our meeting, so we haven't met again yet.
Okay. South Salinas Valley Broadband Authority.
They haven't met since the last time, so there'll probably will be one in April.
All right. Monterey County Mayors Association, we met on March the 6th. We heard a presentation from Robert Shaw, Executive Director of 3CE. That's the one I was reporting on earlier. They provide power to our large part of our residents. PG&E does the transmission, and the 3CE provides the power. They provide their mission is to provide affordable, clean electricity and electrification programs to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, strengthen local economies. That's their mission. So, as I mentioned earlier, we do have this 3C Flex program that's coming up, so be sure and check in on that. Let's see. Salinas Valley Mayor's Managers. That was yesterday. We met yesterday in Soledad. We heard an update from the city of Soledad on housing, homelessness, and economic development. And also a lot of discussion around their parcel tax for fire protection, which will affect all Soledad property owners. So that is a big thing. Fees are going up everywhere, it seems like. We talked about a possibility of doing a legislative breakfast in South County during the legislative recess. And we had a presentation by CASA of Monterey County. They are court-appointed special advocates for children. They're in dire need, they said, of volunteers and advocates for children in South County. They have 18 kids on their waiting list. So if you know anybody that would be interested, I'm sure they would love to get some support there. Paul, was there anything additional from yesterday?
I did a presentation on the last meeting we had for the AOA grant, which is the 5-year grant for 11 to 15-year-old help. Got a group of cities, well, Greenfield, school districts, and nonprofits. So yeah, it was positive. It's just 2026 is a planning year and strategizing year. And the money's going to start flowing in 27.
All right. Planning Commission?
No planning commission.
All right. City Attorney report. City Manager report.
Only thing I have to report is earlier today, we had a meeting, finally had a meeting with HCD, Housing and Community Development. They have some questions and information that they want before they can make a decision on our building moratorium. We covered a lot of the same ground that we've covered in the past. We're just coming from a different space than we are. The Regional Water Board was also on the call. So we had advocates on our side. We tried to explain that we have health and safety issues at the plant. It isn't just about housing.
Is it just stopping housing?
It isn't just stopping housing. Yeah. And they also mentioned that they were concerned that we weren't going to hit our cycle 6 numbers. We reminded them that we've hit all of our numbers up to this point in time.
We've exceeded our numbers.
And we've exceeded our numbers. Yeah. So it's a different conversation, but we're going to continue. It did end well. Jamie was on the call. And yeah, I think it was positive. At least we're talking to each other. That's positive. So I'll keep you updated as time goes by.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around. It was a long meeting tonight. Meeting's adjourned.